Hello fellow astrologers, and welcome back to the next video in our Astrology Keyring Fundamental Series, G3, What is a Synastry Chart? In our last video, G2, we talked about what is a birth chart, and we went over the basics of what's involved with the birth chart. In this video, What is a Synastry Chart, we'll look at how two birth charts put together can tell you more about what the compatibility is between two people. So let's read from the paragraph here. A synastry chart is used to compare two individuals' birth charts to assess how they interact and affect one another. By overlaying the charts, astrologers examine connections between planets, where one person's Venus lands in another chart, or how one person's Saturn affects another's moon, for example. Synastry reveals compatibility, friction, emotional patterns, communication styles, and karmic links. It can be used for romantic partnerships, friendships, family, or business relationships. Synastry doesn't predict whether a relationship will succeed, but it does reveal how two energies combined and what each person is learning through the connection. It's one of the richest tools for understanding how we grow through others. So yes, synastry is great when we're trying to learn a little bit about how we're compatible with someone else. Now, it's not just about where you are romantically with that person. It could also be family members and business partners or other fellow employees in the workplace, or just the person you may randomly see that shows up at your place of business every once in a while, like a customer or something, or someone you pass by on the street. If you happen to know their chart, it can tell you how you may connect with some of these people. It can tell where you have harmonies, certain things that you may get along with, and it can also show some things where you may have disagreements or discordance in your chart. Overall, how your two personalities may mesh together. So let's go over here to the anatomy of a synastry chart and start from there. The first part of the anatomy is the two astrology charts. Both individuals' birth data are used as a base. So a synastry chart always begins with two complete and separate birth charts, one for each individual involved. Each chart represents a full person with their own personality, emotional makeup, and life patterns. Synastry doesn't merge the two together. It examines how the two whole individuals act with one another. So the next part is the overlaying technique. One chart is layered over another to see planet-to-planet interactions. So what that means is the overlaying technique places one person's chart directly on top, like this right here, of another person's chart, which is the bottom chart right here. These interactions reveal attractions, tension, ease, familiarity, and emotional patterns between the two people. Synastry aspects describe how people experience each other, not just how they experience themselves. And that brings us to the next part, aspects between charts. These reveal how one person triggers or supports another's energy. So take, for example, in this chart where you have a 0-degree Cancer here, sextile the 1-degree Virgo Sun. In this case, a Sun sextile Saturn in synastry creates a supportive and stable and long-term bond where the Saturn person provides structure and maturity to the Sun person's identity, while the Sun inspires the Saturn person's fostering mutual respect, responsibility, and commitment for building something solid and lasting between the two people. These and other aspects can talk about where the problems are and where the actual harmonies come in between the two charts. Now, house overlays show where in life one person's influences the others, i.e. Sun falls in your 7th house. Take, for example, here, where this person's natal sun is in this person's 4th house, which could signifies deep foundational comfort, a familiarity and a feeling at home with this person. House overlay shows where one person shows up in that other person's life. That's when you may want to flip the charts, where you put one on the outside versus the other being on the inside, so you can see where the planets start showing up in those persons' houses, because the houses will always be on the outside and the planets that you're looking at will be the ones on the inside. And finally, we get over here into planetary themes, focusing on luminaries, planets, and points of interest for key relationship dynamics. So yes, in Synastry, extra attention is given into looking at the luminaries, planets, and points of interest as key chart points. These placements tend to carry a strong emotional and relationship impact between the two people. Focusing on planetary themes helps identify the core dynamics driving this relationship when you're talking about the two people in question. All in all, when you consider the two together, these elements form the basic structure of synastry, showing who meets who, how they interact, and where the relationship expresses itself most strongly. So other things to think about when you're looking at the anatomy of a chart: typically the outside wheel is the top one and the inside wheel is the bottom bit of information in a chart. If you look down here at all these little bits of detail, when we talked about aspects earlier, we mentioned what the symbols are. Like this is a trine, and that's a square right here. Down here is a conjunct. And some of these are a little bit hard to read, but if you look at the cross-reference, like right here, when you look at this trine here, the sun from the top chart, which is dad, is trine the Chiron here for baby's chart. So you can see here, the sun at 17 degrees is making a wide trine here to Chiron, which is in Aries at 12 degrees. So this key can give you a better idea of what aspects are being made, and it can tell you more about the harmonies and the discords that are between the different planets. Synastry can highlight areas of natural harmony, attraction, and shared growth, as well as potential changes that need understanding and compromise. It's often paired with the composite chart, which blends two charts into a single chart representing relationship itself. All in all, I think that kind of sums up the basics about how a synastry chart works. We'll get into that a little bit more later on when we actually do some synastry charts between two people, so you guys can see how that actually works in action, where we'll get more into the detail about the individual planets and the kind of aspects they make, and also the houses that they may be in relative to one another. So stay tuned for our next video, G4, where we talk about what are transits, and we'll show you how planets that are transiting and happening now can affect your actual birth chart, so you can interpret what kind of things are happening to you now, or events that might be happening to you in the future, and even events that have happened to you in the past, by breaking down what certain planetary effects were hitting you during that specific time. We hope you have enjoyed this video from our Astrology Keyring series. If you like the content, please like, follow, and share with your friends. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed journey.